concerned. Good morning. Good morning, Danube Region. Good morning, fellow Danubians. We apologize for half an hour of a delay. It's a wonderful thing to live in digital times, but then we also have to take into consideration that small technical problems can cause big problems. So we do apologize. We are happy that you stayed with us, and I believe that you will hear many interesting information from our colleague, Johannes Gabriel, who is the coordinator for better governance in the Danube region. Johannes, thank you very much. We had some technical problems, but we are here, happy to host our stakeholders, and we do believe that this is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship that will bring a lot of new ideas to our region and help us.
Thank you, Miri, for that kind moderation, and apologize also from my side, a bit more even than an academic quarter, but here we are. We hope that not too many of you left already. Otherwise, that seminar, like the others, is recorded and you can recall it whenever you want. You can find it on our website. Now, let's jump into the specific objective 4.2. As you may be aware, those are thematic seminars which we are doing now. My colleagues had such also during the week. Some few will follow. And those thematic seminars will complement actually the real lead applicant seminar, which we will have on the second call, and which gives you then the big picture, including also technicalities around the system, gems, and so on. So this is basically now a pure introduction, or rather repetition, of the specific 4.2 and what we want to achieve with it. Repetition because we had the similar or identical seminar already in front of the first call, and I can forward that the call scope of the specific objective 4.2 did not change from first call to second call. Nothing was changed. It's further open. Now to change the slides would be nice. Can you perhaps confirm?
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing is, if you have any questions, please post them in chat section. And when Johannes finishes with his presentation, then we will come back to those questions.
No, we still are not on the top here in technical terms simply today. But you see the slides and you see a very brief overview of what we have in the entire program in terms of priorities. The first one on innovation, second one, greener low carbon Danube region, a third one, more social Danube region, including tourism and culture. And then the fourth one, which is the subject of today. Talking about the fourth priority and the specific 4.2, it's very important to understand that we have two specific objectives actually here, but only one under which standard or regular projects are financed, which is the specific objective 4.2, whereas the other, the 4.1, is a very specific objective, which is dedicated to the Danube region strategy only. We are dealing here with restricted calls, with a very specific type of calls. So I highlight this for you not to be confused. The 4.1 is not a subject of the second call for proposal, and is not a subject of, let's say, normal calls also in the future, but only for USDR stakeholders. With regard to the program budget, what can be said is that we have an overall of a 210, a bit more euro EU contribution. On top came lately also a further amount of ENI resources, which makes it even a bit bigger. We have just talking about ENI and ERDF. Actually, this is the past, but what we are doing now and what is the structure of the program now is we have one pot of money basically in which we merge what has been the ERDF, the ENI or NDICI funds and IPA. Actually, those instruments are still continuing to exist, but we merged it into one pot, which is called Interreg funds, and you will see also in the program documents that we are just talking about Interreg funds. We are not distinguishing between the three instruments behind. The maximum EU contribution is 80%. It has been 85% in the last programming period. It went down to 80% as a matter of regulation. It's not upon us to decide this. And the allocated budget for the specific objective 4.2 is 25 million euro. And I can say without advancing the decision and the discussion of the monitoring committee, which will take place in a couple of weeks, about the first call, that it is basically, it's for sure that minimum half of it will remain, of that amount which is indicated there, will remain for the second call for proposal, which is the foreseen basically scenario which we have here. So a good amount is available for the second call for proposal. Very briefly, actually, I squeezed that part, the general part of the Danube program, but one more look on the challenges of the specific objective 4.2. And those challenges which you see here under the bullet points and as well the chart to the left, they are taken out of the Interreg program, which is the basic document on which the program is footed. And you will find in the Interreg program, which is downloadable on our website, of course, you will find a section on the challenges in relation to each specific objective. And you are recommended to have a look in it. We are aware that stakeholders are a bit reluctant in touching that Interreg program because it's such a thick and huge and complex document, but it's worth to download it. It's also not rocket science, and to go into the challenges part and to see in long version what I put here to write in short version, what are the challenges. All those aspects might be not new for you because you are practitioners in the fields concerned, but the way they are prioritized, the way they are put in order and interconnected gives you a better understanding of what we want, what is the starting point of the story behind the specific objective 4.2. That's a small, let's say, extra effort in terms of time. I'm sure we are talking here a couple of pages only, and it gives you and your proposal a better scope and a better, more targeted, let's say, dynamics. We are, by experience, we dare to state this. Now, what are some of the challenges behind the specific objective 4.2? We have here, the finding is that we have in the Danube region, different to other cooperation areas in Europe, we have huge discrepancies in territorial development. Territorial development in terms of policies, in terms of integration of institutions across borders, and so on. This is visible. Each of you, we are living here in the Danube region, traveling around with open eyes, we can confirm this. The institutional integration in general is lagging behind. If we think in other areas like Alpine, or also institutional integration around the River Rhine, and respective counties and countries, here we are clearly lagging behind. There is even more pronounced urban-rural divide than in other parts of Europe. It's clearly a lack of polycentric development. It's very monocentric in most of the countries. And the same goes across borders. So this is a clear feature of the Danube region. We have insufficient local and civil participation in territorial development processes. And last but not least, but the list of challenges goes on. Again, have a look in the Thematic program. It's recommended. But what a further key finding is that the capacities, of course, also more missing in the Danube region, capacities for developing, applying, and adapting territorial development policies and strategies as compared to other parts in Europe. So we deal here with rather specific and rather territorial challenges, which directly relate to people's problems, I would say, and stakeholder problems, measures dealing with settlements which are suffering from brain drain and so on. So we are dealing, despite that a bit abstract sounding label governance, we are dealing actually with quite concrete issues here. Now we come to the most important part, perhaps. What is the focus of that specific 4.2? Again, here, those points, you will find them in the Interact program. You will find them also in other documents we have on the website, which we produced because they are not containing 350 pages, but just 2 pages. So more handy document in relation to each specific objective. And these are the points. I can repeat them like I did in the first seminar for the first call. Again, there's no restriction on some or focus on some of the points. It's not a restricted call. Will be an open call for 4.2. And what I highlighted here in purple are just those points which we found they were not sufficiently addressed in the first call for proposal, which is an important hint for you to go for those topics. Doesn't bring extra points or what, but we would like to have those things also addressed, and you should take that on board. So again, all the full scope of 4.2 topics is available, and then there are some highlighted now, which are highlighted because they haven't been or very slightly only addressed in the first call for proposal. First point, integrated governance models for addressing challenges arising from demographic change, like aging, depopulation, and brain drain. So this is the first point mentioned also in official documents, not by accident. We thought that this is actually the most important point and the main scenario of 4.2, the demographic scenario, since those demographic developments are heavily impacting the territorial development. Nonetheless, we found that few proposals actually did really address it. Some had some references to that scenario or single points like depopulation. But what we missed and what we had already before in previous calls under the Danube Transnational Program, we had such proposals which did, for example, tackle data gaps in terms of youth migration on regional level and so on, so which went more directly towards demographic topics. And we clearly welcome, or we not only clearly welcome proposals for that point, but we see also a good opportunity to create proposals in that field because it's a wide field. There are very concrete proposal challenges and needs behind. We did have, as I said already, very good experiences with similar initiatives. For example, just to mention one more example, one project dealing with retaining talents in medium-sized cities. So it went to that brain drain topic, and then the territorial focus was put on medium-sized cities, a very sensible, very good and very implemented project, very relevant project. And such are thinkable in many, many ways. So you are invited to brainstorm in case you are interested to submit a proposal under 4.2 to brainstorm around those points. Then we have integrated urban-rural governance models, including specific territorial development strategies for rural and remote areas. Still a very relevant topic. We had now in the first call most of the projects actually, which also made it into the second step, can be seen in that context. Of course, each of them, they had their niche. However, what missed a little bit was that very last point, which is remote areas. This is a point which was not addressed and which could be, but this is just thinking loudly, a point which is rather interesting, because our area being having, let's say, the borders with other geographic areas, namely also Asia, or then we think to the east and to the south. We have a lot of remote areas. We have a lot of peripheric areas, and this is also a quite specific feature of our program area, and also those areas shall be connected in terms of planning approaches and policies to the more centric parts. Then there's one point: support for more and stronger interinstitutional relations for integrated development of transboundary functional areas. The response to that point is zero so far, I have to say. It seems that point of transboundary functional area is difficult to grasp. I don't want to make now anti-promotion for that point. If you see that point in your work, if you think you can create a proposal around it, then do it. What I just want to say is that we had few, so it seems a little bit a tricky topic. Functional area is perhaps difficult to grasp, but what is behind is, and then we got not only from the regulation and background documents, but also from the programming phase. What can be seen here are, for example, cross-border initiatives in the field of emergency, of fire brigades. So there are cross-border initiatives in that regard, and to basically to extrapolate them and to connect them on a transnational level. This would be one point if I try to give a concrete example. But yeah, it's not the easiest topic here. If you think you have a good idea here, then that might also be seen from a tactical point of view, a long-standing feature. So again, I don't want to discourage you. The opposite, we would be happy to receive something here, but it seems to be a tricky point. What further on is that focus is capacity building, especially a better involvement of local and regional public bodies and civic actors in transnational policy making. So the capacity building we have in each and every specific objective. Actually, this is one of our most popular activities we finance actually. But in the case of 4.2, they should be focused on such. And what is a challenge here, and what will remain a challenge for sure, is the involvement of civic actors, because the scheme of our project is such that there are organizations, institutions involved, and not personal, not private persons. And Civil society organizations are in many cases more fragile as compared to others, smaller, and for them to become active in a transnational program is a bigger challenge. But nevertheless, this remains. We are working on that. We are encouraging also you to spread that. If you are belonging to a civil society organization, feel encouraged to engage. It's a crucial pillar in many projects, and I can tell you that many projects stayed to address the civic sphere. Few manage actually in terms of involving respective partners in a partnership, which is again the hint: you manage this, you manage to have a strong pillar of civil society organizations in your partnership, and this is for sure something which is boosting your project. Further point is the support and monitoring and analysis of territorial processes. Also here, few proposals received. It's a more technical point, perhaps, but not necessarily. Let me come back here to the example of those data-oriented project on youth migration within the Danube region. And the starting point of that project was that the finding that there are data available, comparable data, partially at national level, but not at regional level. So not at subnational level. There were data gaps. Also, institutions involved in that, they hardly cooperated across borders and so on. So that was basically pioneer work what was done. And similar is meant with that. So not only data gathering, of course, everything should have a territorial implication and policy implication, but to spot gaps in terms of monitoring development, territorial development issues at transnational level, analyzing them, finding niches there which have not been addressed so far. Last points: the improved provision of public services of general interest in digitalization should be considered horizontal elements. So yes, horizontal elements, but the important thing is that they are there, those pieces here, and one can not build the entire proposal around them, but it, for you as potential applicants, it's important to understand that also those two things were softly addressed only. I would not say not at all. And it's worth to have them on the radar when developing a project, because being horizontal elements, they might be relatively easy to be built into a concept, especially if it comes to digitalization. Further point is that all measures shall substantially take into account already existing frameworks like Territorial Agenda 2030 and New Leipzig Charter. So here, this is a very relevant point which was emphasized during the programming, because there were many voices saying that we should not just reinvent the wheel, and that a lot of concepts are already existing. And in fact, in terms of territorial development, there are two main, but there are others also which are mentioned here. But the further slide will go a bit in detail here, which are not duplicating what the wording what we have in our indirect program, but it's always around the same points actually, and a social city, just city, green city, and so on. So if you go into those frameworks, and the summaries available on the internet, which are very handy, actually, a couple of pages, you very quickly will grasp what it's about in the Territorial Agenda or Leipzig Charter or New European Bauhaus, or you name it. Then it's simply, I think, very useful and fruitful for you in terms of at early stage, in that brainstorming phase you might be now, because again, you will not hear necessarily new things, but how they are framed there, and the importance given to certain points or not will help you to give more relevance to your project. Last but not least, specific objective 4.2 is clearly the specific objective among all of the Danube Region program, which expects integrated and holistic approaches, which should be reflected by approach, but also by partnerships. And here we did make good experiences. Actually, the first call was interesting in that regard. So the partnerships of, let's say, competitive proposals in the specific objective 4.2 offer really a great mix of partners, which is not the case or not that much the case if it comes to topic like energy or water-oriented environmental projects, which by nature have a more sectorial partnership. 4.2 really offers the scene for very mixed and cross-sectorial multi-level partnerships. First point I already highlighted here, the strong local and civic ownership is also expected, as I outlined already. And again, the exact composition and size depend on individual topics. It's hard to predict very early, or I think even the first priority area coordinator of the USDR of the Danube strategy for governance, PA10, once said that the stakeholder market in the field of governance is intransparent, and that's it, because it depends on very much on the topic and the approach you have, which institutions you suit best and you want to or should include. We cannot give here a blueprint, but what should be considered always is that you apply on a transnational program, and in the end, the partnership should be strong enough and have enough weight to leave a footprint at transnational level. What we do not finance under SO 4.2, that's basically very similar to what we do not finance also under other specific objectives, namely projects which do not demonstrate that a transnational approach is needed. So might tackle topics which are each day in the news and popular, but why from a transnational point of view? Why can those topics not be solved better on a national or even regional or local level? This you have to keep in mind. So there should always be interconnecting some lifelines between the countries involved with regard to the challenge you address. Projects, this is in fact a specific point for 4.2. The project should be involved in a territorial scenario, so that it should be clear. This is actually a very crucial point. What in the end is happening with the territories, how a mayor, how people in the regional or national administration, what they have at the end of the project in hands to improve the living conditions on the ground. We are clearly looking for a place-based solution here in 4.2. This is not the case, for example, if we think only in the production of coordination platforms. A lot of projects are very much leaning into that direction of IT tools, website plus coordination platform, one coordination platform, two. I talk about technical coordination platform, and in the end, it's not really understandable what might be the effect of that on the ground. We are looking here where somehow it is true for all specific objectives, but we look more into that point in the 4.2. Like for most of the specific other specific objectives, we do not finance projects with a predominant focus on infrastructure or mere technical or IT solutions. The key word here is predominant. Of course, we have budget lines for infrastructure, we have budget lines for equipment. There's nothing bad, there's nothing mean to have those elements if they are justified from a transnational and from a territorial point of view, but we don't want to see them dominating the entire project. We furthermore do not finance projects lacking multi-level governance character. I had some words on that already. The local level very much matters for 4.2, but it should be complemented with actors from the regional, from the national level, also from the international level. We made a very good experience with some international umbrella organizations, for example, in the field of housing or in the field of migration. So they should definitely stretch across several administrative layers. And yes, this is resulting from the previous point. We do not finance projects which have a very narrow sectorial focus. And here there might be borderline cases, because if you, for example, have that demographic background of your initiative, which I was highlighting very much and stressing very much, but what you do in fact in your project is to developing a training scheme for elderly, for example. Then this is more, we would say, a more educational project perhaps, and it has that coming from a demographic challenge and tackling that, but it's more about, let's say, developing that educational scheme and not so much to set up a governance system, and then you might fit better under priority 3. So it does not mean necessarily that you fall out of the program, but then you might fit better under another specific objective. You can contact us anyway with that, and then we will discuss it and we will develop then that route together for you. And so it's nothing bad to have a more, let's say, more sectorial focus, but it would perhaps then eventually lead over 4.2. This can be discussed, and it's nothing bad. Here again, those 3, let's say, the new European Bauhaus could be added, but 3 main frameworks being the background for 4.2. It's the Territorial Agenda 2030, which is the more broader one, this general strategic spatial planning document. And then we have the Leipzig Charter, which is the more urban, city-centered one. And I just put out here and highlighted the main points, and you see that they are basically they are congruent. So it's a just Europe and green Europe in the case of Territorial Agenda 2030, and the Leipzig Charter is highlighting the just city, the green city, digitalization you'll find in both documents. So you have, of course, a different scope and focus of those documents and frameworks. The strategic lines within them, they are compatible. And we have the Danube Region strategy, the USDR, which is last but not least, because this is basically the most important framework we have, and we are dealing with, and we are linked to, and they are linked to us in some way. So we are one hand with 2 fingers. We are the funding instrument, they are the strategic frame, and I think we are already on the stage that among you stakeholders, also the USDR is widely known. So I will spare now to have a long speech on that. Anyway, Miri, did I talk too much, or did you take the time? Then I go on. If not,
no, you can go on.
Okay, but jokes aside, closing time soon. So USDR, what has it to do with your project? Well, there are priority areas, mainly 12, and some are more relevant for your project that year and some not. If they go to those priority areas, look them after in the internet and have a look what they do there, because they deal with strategic topics. You might have had contact already with them. You can also enter into contact with actors from the priority areas or from the strategy. There are steering groups, including steering group members from each country. There are national coordinators, there are priority area coordinators, so there are also real persons and humans behind it which can be approached. And this is a further, let's say, component, and I would almost say compulsory part in the process to set up your and to consolidate your topic is that double check or contact with the sphere of the Danube region. I don't say you have to now go to the telephone and start to make wild phone calls, but it's, I mean, go there on the internet, inform yourself, and you will see what those priority areas do. Many of you anyway will be in contact with the strategy already. I think this is the last slide. Yes. Second call for proposal. The reason why you are here basically and listening, I guess. So it's not launched yet. It's not fixed yet. Everything. So that's why some rough points, and we will make then also a lead applicant seminar. So again, all details, technical frame will be presented in a separate general seminar. What we can say for the moment is we will have a one-step procedure, different to the first call where we had a two-step procedure. The info webinars like the one you are in now are ongoing. We will have national info days, they are already ongoing. There are countries which do more than one even. And we will launch the call in the upcoming weeks in not too far time. By then, the full info package will be available. The submission date is scheduled for the 29th of February. So one main characteristic of that second call and the setup, the framework for it is that to give you a lot of time of let's say of the opening of the call, meaning from the point where you really have available all documents, everything, not the pre-announcement, but the full info package to the point of submission. It will be a comparably long period, which of course should contribute, this is the idea behind, to the quality of your proposals. And then the final approval will depend on many factors. One being that the number of proposals we receive will for sure not be before the end of 24. And but really here, I tell already I'm more concrete than I should be because it can be influenced by a lot of factors. Also, those slides will be available. You have my contact data here. One last word, and then we go into looking you can already perhaps look into the chat what questions we receive is. So we have those seminars today. Hopefully that one had to clarify a little bit for you to confirm your interest in that specific objective, or which is also helpful to help you to understand that this is not the right framework for your proposal. Also helpful in, so pity of course, but if you don't fit, if it's not what you want to do, then at least you know it now and you will not invest work for nothing in it. That's an important thing, I think, and from those seminars. We will have the more general the lead applicants seminar, and a third point in that is then to address us personally. Once you really decided, okay, we go for 4.2, or we go for another specific objective, or perhaps we most probably will fit there, we think, and then you want to discuss it with us, whatever. A third dimension of, let's say, settling your and informing you is to contact us. We have those bilateral consultations. It became a standard task. We do it in mass production, basically. We don't exclude anybody. That's what I want to say. Everybody is welcome. You then should be, of course, a little bit constructive in terms of providing us, when addressing us, providing us with a short outline of your idea, of your project idea, so that we don't start from scratch or have no basis for discussion. We cannot go in hourly discussions. Time frame is limited, since we always have a lot of applications, but we do that, and those bilateral consultations prove to be very helpful for applicants. Not that we tell you what you should do it like this or like this, but as I said, sometimes it turns also out that people understand that perhaps they should go under a different specific objective, or they should go under another funding instrument. But of course, also some strategic and thematic and also formal and technical things are then clarified in those talks. That's all from my side, and we go into the questions.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, would capacity building of both local, regional public bodies as well as civic actors on participatory budgeting and other participatory methodologies be something that can be funded through this specific objective?
We had similar things already, topics, yes. I mean, look, those are now, it appears to me as 5 lines, so I don't see anything which would here be against the thematic scope of 4.2 or some other formal problems with it. Of course, then that should be double checked again with us. We did participatory budgeting. This is actually something which I can imagine which can be turned into a quite relevant project, considering always that then it has to be framed in a transnational, let's say, context and everything. But yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any partner search platform available for this next call?
Yes, we are working on that. We are working so that it should be available for that call and not between the second and the third. So it should be available soon. Yes.
Yes, we do expect that it will be available in upcoming weeks. So follow closely our website, and you will find all information because we will publish it. It seems that we don't have any more questions. Okay, there is one coming. Can the digitalization be the main focus of the project idea, since it is one of the horizontal elements?
Look, there are some projects also in the 4.2 which are so full of digitalization measures without calling themselves new digital Danube or whatever, that they can be considered a digitalization project. 4.2 is territorial. It has some very much to do with the urban sphere, with the rural sphere. There are, of course, main movements in terms of smart city, smart village. This is not thinkable about without digitalization. So I would say, not to answer your question, if your project is de facto very digital, this is not against 4.2, but you should be careful to in the concept, let's say, in the setup of your project, to make clear what comes first and what comes second. So do you want to implement the project for the sake of having some new softwares implemented in public administration here and there, or is your overarching objective to modernize processes in public administration in a certain field with related to funding opportunities or with in relation to greenification, and then the digitalization comes in as the main tool basically. So it's a matter of prioritization, but it's definitely, I would say, don't be afraid now if you think in a very digital type of project, and discuss it with us. But I would say don't run away.
Okay, thank you. So let's see that we have new messages here. But it seems that that's it. Okay, this is the last question. Do you have any more questions for Johannes to answer? I think that that's all. No more questions coming in. So Johannes, thank you very much for sharing the facts, and I can say that it was a very nice storytelling on our governance, macro-regional governance, right? And the topic that you're dealing with. And thank you also for all the recommendations that you gave and you collected through your extensive experience. So thank you all for being here with us. This will be recording published on our website, and do follow us because more webinars on our specific objectives and also on general call will follow. So stay with us and work with us on the Better Danube region. So thank you very much. And once again, sorry for this 1 hour of delay, but it just happened. But we did our best to enable being here with you. Thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye.